We're on chapter 6 and we're on paragraph 12. Our thinking links us to the world. Our feeling leads us back into ourselves and thus makes us individuals. Were we merely thinking and perceiving beings, our whole life would flow along in monotonous indifference. Were we able merely to know ourselves as selves, we should be totally indifferent to ourselves. It is only because we experience self-feeling with self-knowledge and pleasure and pain with the perception of objects that we live as individual beings whose existence is not limited to the conceptual relations between us and the rest of the world, but who have, besides this, a special value for ourselves. And the summary for paragraph 12 is, if we were merely thinking and perceiving beings, we would be indifferent to life. If we were to know ourselves as selves, we would be indifferent to ourselves. So again, feeling brings us back to ourselves and makes us individual. If we were just thinking and perceiving beings, we wouldn't, life would just be very boring and uninteresting. We wouldn't care. We would be like robots. And, it's the fact that we feel pain and pleasure towards objects that gives us value, and it's our feeling life that gives us value, so that we're not just here to be perceiving things like robots and thinking about things like robots. The feeling life really adds value to our life, and that's basically what he's saying here. And having the feeling life, it gives us a certain value in living in life, because if we just perceive things and had concepts about things, where's the value in that? There's no value in it for myself. I'm just here as a cog perceiving stuff. No, if you have feelings, that gives you meaning. That gives life some value. Like, okay, I can feel pain and pleasure about things. Now I have some sort of, that has value. So that's what he's basically saying in that. So we're going to move on to 13. One might be tempted to see in the life of feeling an element that is more richly saturated with reality than is the contemplation of the world through thinking. But the reply to this is that the life of feeling, after all, has this richer meaning only for my individual self. For the universe as a whole, my life of feeling can have value only if, as a percept of myself, the feeling enters into connection with the concept, and in this roundabout way links itself to the cosmos. The summary for 13 is, my life of feeling has meaning only for my individual self. My life of feeling can have value if the feeling makes a connection with a concept, thereby linking itself to the cosmos. So people may argue that, feelings should be seen as a more richer reality, but that's not necessarily true, because my life of feeling is really only relevant for me, and if that just can become narcissism. If I just focus on everything about what I feel, that's not reality. If you just focus on your feelings about things, that's one part, but as he says here, if we can what does he say? If my feelings make a connection with a concept, that's what makes it, that connects me to the cosmos, which is universal. If I could formulate an idea about my feelings, then that can have more value, because that's relatable. So it's not just, that's what he's just basically saying in that paragraph. Feeling is just giving me a richer meaning for myself. It's the formulation of concepts and thinking that is universal and just what everyone can relate to and understand. And that is where the reality starts. We're going to move on to paragraph 14. Our life is a continual oscillation between living with the universal world process and being our own individual selves. The further we ascend into the universal nature of thinking, where in the end, what is individual interests us only as an example or specimen of the concept, the more the character of the separate being, of the quite definite single personality, becomes lost in us. The further we descend into the depths of our own life and allow our feelings to resound with our experiences of the outer world, the more we cut ourselves off from universal being. A true individuality will be the one who reaches up with his feelings to the furthest possible extent into the region of the ideal. There are men in whom even the most general ideas that enter their heads still bear that particular personal tinge which shows unmistakably the connection with their author. There are others whose concepts come before us without the least trace of individual character, as if they had not been produced by a man of flesh and blood at all. So 14 we have summarized as follows. Our life is a continuous process of living with the universal world process and being an individual. A true individuality will be the one who reaches up with his feelings to the furthest possible extent into the ideal region. Basically, feelings can motivate us to find the ideal, to find the concepts, and that's really what he argues as a true individual is they honor their life of feeling, but they're also striving for the concepts, to have ideas about things, and they're not just stuck in their own little world. And someone who just has concepts but doesn't connect it to themselves and how they feel, that's sort of cold, and that's not a true individuality for Steiner, because we have to respect feelings, but at the same time we have to respect our life of thinking, because as he's mentioned earlier, we are dual beings. We have a life of feeling and we have a life of thinking, and we are concerned, we have to oscillate between the universal world process and our own individual selves, which the world process is, the thoughts we think about things. That's what connects us to the world, and then the feelings connect us to ourselves. And so if we can work with those two elements, that's how we become a true individual. We're not just paying attention to our feelings or just to our thinking. So it's just the working of the two and the striving for the two. So that's what he's saying in paragraph 14. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys again later. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me. Have a good day. Bye.